c'est Danny Gear qui s'amène dans le territoire du Canadien. Avec O'Grodnick, plaqué par Momesso, qui remet en territoire neutre. Larson, une passe interceptée par Green. Une rondelle qui revient à Larson. La passe à O'Grodnick, à Larson derrière. La rondelle a touché son patin pour dévier jusqu'à Gear. Gear, un tir derrière le filet de Patrick Roy. C'est Chelios qui reprend. Dégagement arrêté, le tir de Foster. Et l'arrêt de Patrick Roy qui fait des pièces à droite. Les Canadiens un peu nonchalants peut-être en ce moment, Gilles, justement à cause de cette avance de 7 buts. Dahlin, aux prises avec Gear. Dahlin qui réussit à se démarquer, la belle passe et Dubois qui rate son tir du revers. Il a fallu qu'il aille jusqu'au bout de ses bras. Ce n'était pas commode. Foster dans le territoire du Canadien, s'approche du filet. Une passe qui est interceptée par Curvers. Et John D'Amico qui fait une chute au centre de la patinoire. Dahlin, pendant ce temps, remet à Neslund, arrêté par la douceur, qui tire dans le territoire du Canadien pendant qu'on fait des changements chez les Wings. Klima en compagnie de Duguay et Yzerman contre Nyland maintenant, DeBlois et Neslund. La passe par derrière de DeBlois interceptée. Friday reprend derrière son filet, poursuivi par Neslund, qui va retourner au banc des joueurs pour permettre à Carbonneau et Guéné de faire leur entrée sur la patinoire. Ron Duguay dans le territoire du Canadien. À Yzerman, à Duguay encore une fois. À Yzerman, mais c'est intercepté par Chelios qui fait dévier jusqu'à Nyland. Et c'est la douceur qui reprend sa ligne bleue. La douceur, ça passe intercepté par Carbonneau. Carbonneau maintenant aux prises avec la coriace Carbonneau. Une passe qui va aller à Nyland, à Guéné. Guéné qui évite la mise en échec de Klima. Un tir de Nyland qui rate le filet. Retour à Duguay. Duguay dans le territoire du Canadien. Son tir a touché un hockey. Une rondelle qui tombe dans la poule. Du jeu passablement décousu. Et un spectateur, Gilles, qui a fait apparemment un très beau catch. On s'en remet à la réaction de ses voisins. Les Canadiens mènent 8 ans.
De retour au Manitoba après 12 ans d'absence, le célèbre John Littleton sera en concert en la salle du Centenaire le mardi 3 décembre à 20 h. Les profits du spectacle organisé par l'Office diocésain des communications sociales seront versés à l'aide aux sinistrés du Mexique ainsi qu'au fonds de parrainage des réfugiés. Pour plus de renseignements au sujet du concert Littleton, adressez-vous aux productions communautaires en composant le 237-5303.
On voit que sur la manche gauche des joueurs des Red Wings de Détroit, on indique que c'est la 60e saison de l'équipe dans la Ligue nationale. Une équipe qui a connu quand même des moments glorieux, particulièrement dans les années 50.
Avec la présence de Gordie Howe, Terry Sawchuk, Red Kelly, Marcel Brunneau. On peut en nommer quelques-uns. Ted Lindsay.
Alex Delvecchio. De très fortes équipes. Cette émission présentée sous tout droit réservé est strictement pour le plaisir de nos téléspectateurs. Et toute reproduction, retransmission, distribution ou présentation, en tout ou en partie sans le consentement exprès de Radio-Canada, est strictement interdite.
Dans les bons joueurs de Détroit, il ne faudrait pas oublier Alex Delvecchio.
À cette époque-là, on parlait tout à l'heure des années 50, le grand adversaire des Red Wings, c'était quand même aussi les Canadiens.
Oui.
Walter qui remet à Dahlin. Dahlin s'approche du filet, le tir et un bel arrêt de Mio. Retour raté par Walter, c'est Smith qui reprend. Smith tente une passe à Dahlin, mais la rondelle a touché Larson. Dévie jusqu'à Walter. Walter arrêté par Barrett. Et c'est Gallant qui remet à Young. Encore une fois Gallant et un beau jeu jusqu'à Larson, mais il n'a pu contrôler la rondelle. Et c'est Loisel maintenant, un tir, la rondelle a touché le hockey de Svoboda, a ricoché jusqu'à Bobby Smith qui se démarque et Smith qui perd la rondelle à son tour. C'est Gallant, encore une fois, dans le territoire du Canadien. Roy qui remet à sa gauche Gérard Gallant qui a quand même 13 buts depuis le début de la saison. On parlait tout à l'heure, Gilles, d'heureuse surprise, c'en est une effectivement, oui. 13 buts et 7 passes, un total de 20 points. C'est lui qui a le plus de buts chez les Wings. On sait qu'il a joué dans la Ligue junior majeure du Québec avec Verdun, en particulier à l'époque de Pat Lafontaine. Et un joueur des Wings qui s'est blessé en allant chuter dans la bande derrière. C'est Galland, justement, dont on parlait, et qui retourne péniblement au banc des joueurs. C'est l'arrêt du jeu avec 12 minutes 54 à faire en troisième. Canadien 8, Détroit 1.
Plusieurs d'entre vous regardent ce message sur un écran de 20 pouces. C'est bien, mais un peu tassé. Certains autres ont un écran de 26 pouces. C'est un peu plus aéré. Mais voici le nouveau téléviseur Zénith à écran de 29 pouces. Le super écran, qui donne une image plus grande et d'une définition exceptionnelle. Le système 3 perfectionné de Zénith à écran de 29 pouces vous en mettra plein la vue. Les télés logiques, plus logiques que jamais.
Le jeu reprend à la gauche de Patrick Roy. À partir de dimanche 1er décembre, donc cette nuit à 4 h du matin, les personnes sur le territoire de la communauté urbaine de Montréal peuvent utiliser un numéro de téléphone unique, le 911, lors de toute situation d'urgence. McPhee à Scrudlin plaqué par la douceur qui a connu des moments extrêmement difficiles ce soir. McPhee qui reprend, une autre passe pour Scrudlin qui se tiraillait derrière le filet et ça continue avec la douceur. Scrudlin la passe et le tir et un bel arrêt de Ed Mio sur ce tir de McPhee.
Si Mio a pu faire l'arrêt ici, c'est qu'il a suivi le disque du commencement à la fin. A bougé avec la rondelle, a très bien sorti à la pointe du rectangle pour pouvoir faire l'arrêt. On va le surveiller d'un angle différent. Le travail ici de Lodway qui pousse la rondelle. Surveiller Mio. 31 ans. Il en est à sa 3e équipe. Il a commencé à Edmonton, a joué pour les Rangers, se retrouve à Détroit. A divisé son travail habituellement à chaque saison avec la Ligue américaine et la Ligue nationale.
Les spectateurs qui ont besoin d'un peu d'action avec cette avance de 7 buts des Canadiens ont amorcé quelques vagues qui n'ont pas été tout à fait complétées jusqu'à maintenant. Une passe avec le patin de Tremblay pour WA. Là, une passe devant, mais personne pour la capter. Mario Tremblay était contré au même moment par Randy Ladouceur. Un tir de Kissio à la droite de filet de Roy. Et c'est Tremblay qui reçoit une passe dans le territoire des Wings. Mais je pense qu'il était fatigué. Gilles n'a pu poursuivre son travail plus loin. Le tir de Gare et l'arrêt avec le gant de Patrick Roy. 24 tirs au but par les Canadiens contre 12 par les Red Wings. Il reste 11 minutes 42 à faire en troisième. C'est Détroit 1, Canadien 8. À Québec, c'est toujours 2-0 pour les Nordiques contre les Bruins de Boston. Peter Stachny et Moeller ont marqué pour les Québécois. Pendant qu'on aperçoit toujours Patrick Roy. Roy qui a une très bonne fiche quand même. Il a 6 chemines vers une 7e victoire. Et la plupart de ses défaites, il les a connues en début de saison. Sa moyenne avant le match de ce soir était de 3,79. Le tir de McCune. Et une rondelle qui a touché un défenseur du Canadien. Et on doit revenir au centre autour de McCune qui remet dans le territoire du Canadien. Là, c'est Foster, un tir. Roy laisse la rondelle pour Robinson à WA. WA à la passe à Mario Tremblay, mais c'était trop long et c'est Foster qui hérite de la rondelle. Foster qui voulait remettre à Young, mais Young rêvait un peu là-dessus et n'a pas vu la passe que son coéquipier lui destinait. Young, arrêté par Robinson. On ne peut certainement pas parler de deuxième effort dans le cas de certains joueurs des Wings, et Young en particulier. Là, je comprends un peu mieux pourquoi il n'a que 2 buts depuis le début de la saison. C'est un contrat de combien de temps, Gilles, qu'on lui a donné à 200 ou 250 000 par année?
3 ans, je crois, une année d'option.
Et là, le jeu est complètement décousu, échevelé. Les Canadiens mènent 8-1. Il reste encore 10 minutes 35 à faire en troisième. Descente de Chris Nyland qui remet derrière à Gainé. Le tir et l'arrêt de Ed Mio.
A shot through traffic and it went off the skate. Sutter tries to slide it in front and it's knocked down by McGowan. The Flames now under some aggressive forechecking by the Islanders, having a few problems getting out of their own zone. Boudelier working against the veteran Lanny McDonald. They take it to the boards and hold it for a face-off. Tonight's game is coming to you from Calgary.
My red hair is a curse.
She wanted to win their hearts. She'll win yours. Megan follows. Colleen Dewhurst, Richard Farnsworth, Anne of Green Gables, Sunday.
Ahead of the Hartford Whalers in the third period. Glenn Anderson and Mark Messier crisscross. Messier snaps the wrist shot, his second of the game, 15th of the year, 7-4, Edmonton in the third.
And here at the Saddle Dome, it's 4-3 Calgary in the third, 6:57 remaining. The Islanders, Potvin, looking for Brent Sutter. He gets it over on the wing for Bossy. Bossy tried to return the pass, but it was intercepted by the Flames.
Some changing of the lines by Al Arbour. Got Bossy on the right side with Brent Sutter here. He had been with Pinelli a lot earlier. Or excuse me, with Trottier a lot earlier.
Sutter flips the backhand to the corner. Tonelli races in against Berezan. The Calgary player won the race, and it's cleared to center ice. Potvin has to wait for Tonelli to clear the zone before shooting it in. He did not wait long enough.
Reggie Lemelin with lots of playing time along with Dennis Potvin. You know, he had that ear infection we talked about earlier. He had that last season, too, and they're afraid that that's becoming an annual problem with him. They don't know how long Dennis Potvin's going to keep playing with the Islanders. There's a look at Harvey the Hound. Now, Hamway is playing the right wing now with Trottier. He and Bossy have switched lines. Bossy on the right side with Brent Sutter. So Al Arbour doing a little line juggling, trying to get Bossy some scoring chances. He has not had a lot of scoring chances during this hockey game.
Boudelier back in his own zone. Ahead to Hamway, off the boards into the Calgary zone. Shots on goal, 28-25 in favor of the Flames. Deflection by Trottier goes wide. And at this time, we welcome those Hockey Night in Canada viewers in Toronto who have been watching the game between Buffalo and Toronto. It's a 1-1 score. Here it's 4-3. The Calgary Flames leading the New York Islanders. Gilbert and Hamway in the corner. Hamway battling with Lube, gets it out to Trottier. He flips it towards the goal. And Gilbert tried to deflect it. He was tied up by Sheehy, and the puck goes loose, and it's brought out now by Bozak.
Lemelin with another big save, but the Islanders' game over the years has been to control the corners, control the boards, and that's what they're starting to do here as the third period wears on.
Sheehy unable to get it, or I should say gets it back to the point. Now here's Bourgeois with a shot, and it's deflected as it goes to the corner. Potvin battling there with Risebrough. It's kept in by Bourgeois. To the other side, McCowan with a shot. It deflects wide. Bozak in front of the net doing a good job there of screening Kelly Rudy. Now Potvin comes up with it, and he clears it out to the center ice area.
Quite a collision between Bozak and Potvin. It was like a linebacker hitting a small running back. What a collision. Dennis Potvin's been very physical in this particular hockey game, and that's how he played his best hockey in years gone by. When he plays physical, his team needs it. And again, the Islanders do not have an overly physical defense. Bozak sees him coming and leaps into Potvin, but look at the strength and the size difference. There you can see Potvin. He used his thighs to get all that strength into that body check. Boy, oh boy, good collision.
And Joel Otto can also attest to the ability of Dennis Potvin to lay a body check on an opposition player. A shot from the point by Thomas Johnson, the save by Lemelin. Sutter now trying to get it into Flatley, who was attempting to take up the position in the slot. It was broken up. But now the Islanders, pressing for that tying goal, are sending three in, forechecking against the Flames. And they put some pressure on the Flames here in the final period. LaFontaine works in on the right side. For Flatley, it bounced off his stick. Flatley goes to the corner. He's having problems there along the board. Trying to get it back to the point, but it's picked off by the Flames and dumped down the ice.
The Flames don't mind if the Islanders stay to the outside. When they penetrate that middle area, that slot area, that's going to be a problem. 3:57 left in the third. 4-3 favor Calgary.
Way back when trains were steam, CN, you were the first to dot and dash your way across the country. But now you make our business dealings fast as light. We talk together with an ease that would have made our fathers dizzy. And today, You let a doctor in Vancouver listen to a child's heart beat in the Yukon. That's when we know, CN, just who you're in business for.
Les petits problèmes, on s'en occupe. Sans problème.
Alors, Chris Nilan au banc des pénalités. Il y a quand même quelques spectateurs, Gilles, qui en ont assez vu, qui ont décidé de quitter les lits.
Écoute bien haut, sur la sortie de zone ici. Infraction, 13 minutes, 34 secondes.
Neslund, il a un but, une passe ce soir, donc 16 buts et 21 passes, 37 points, ce qui le place en deuxième position chez les marqueurs de la Ligue nationale, derrière Wayne Gretzky, qui avant le match de ce soir contre Hartford avait 48 points. On sait qu'il a au moins un but jusqu'à maintenant ce soir. Avantage numérique pour les Red Wings. Mise au jeu gagnée par Duguay, mais c'est Larson qui, plus par Larson, on peut faire une chute à Carbonneau. La foule proteste, il n'y aura pas de pénalité là-dessus. O'Gronick du revers remet derrière le filet de Patrick Roy. Roy par la bande, voit sa passe interceptée par O'Gronick à Duguay. Duguay à Climat qui perd à Bob Gainey qui sort de sa zone en compagnie de Guy Carbonneau. La passe à Carbonneau, le tir et le but! 2 buts en désavantage numérique ce soir. Et c'est 9-1.
Eh bien, Emilio va s'en vouloir. Et c'est une rondelle qui n'avait pas quitté la glace. Une rondelle qui est passée sous le bâton, je crois. Et peut-être entre les deux jambières. Le lancer de Carbonneau dans un angle quand même assez fermé. Sur le jeu en croisé avec Bob Gainey. De son propre territoire, la sortie de zone de Bob Gainey, longe la clôture, surveiller le jeu en croisé. Et l'angle ici. La rondelle qui n'était pas très haute. A semblé toucher l'intérieur de la jambière, Richard, pour glisser dans le fond du filet. C'est 9-1. On va surveiller le jeu d'un peu plus près. Près du point de mise en jeu.
Carbonneau a 2 buts, 2 passes ce soir, 2 buts, 1 passe hier soir. Donc ça lui fait 7 points en 2 matchs. Et c'est le 3e but cette saison marqué par les Canadiens en désavantage numérique. Et Gainey en a marqué 2, Carbonneau 1, mais Gainey a participé aux 3.
La partie hier, Richard, n'était pas vieille de 20 minutes, que déjà on voyait que le synchronisme était revenu entre ces 3 joueurs qui ont toujours travaillé ensemble. Gainey, Nilan et Carbonneau. Et on a obtenu des résultats immédiatement. On voit que Carbonneau joue avec plus de confiance, connaissant ses deux ailiers. Son jeu est très progressif. Ne pivote pas sur lui-même en territoire neutre, fonce continuellement, garde le disque devant lui, ce qui force ses ailiers à patiner et à se découvrir pour recevoir des passes. Il fonce toujours et ce qui donne de bons résultats. Et lorsqu'on l'oppose au meilleur joueur de l'autre équipe, on sait qu'il dérange l'adversaire. Prends un joueur tel Peter Stachny, par exemple. Même si on lui oppose Bobby Smith ou qui que ce soit du Canadien, il n'aime pas jouer contre Carbonneau. Un peu comme un Lindsman.
Et là, Gilles, le jeu retardé, il y a des spectateurs qui tirent des pièces, qui lancent des pièces de monnaie sur la patinoire. Eh bien, les 2 buts du Canadien marqués par Gainey et Carbonneau en désavantage numérique l'ont été pendant des pénalités à Chris Nilan, dans les 2 cas. Voilà Climat qui a tenté une feinte habile, mais Gainey lui a enlevé la rondelle tout simplement pour la remettre à Carbonneau. Et la foule de crier « Guy, Guy, Guy ». Duguay, son tir a touché le hockey à la pénalité à Chris Nilan.
J'ai surveillé Climat tout au long de la soirée, Richard. Les jeunes, il n'a que 20 ans. En possession du disque, il se découvre bien également, il fait très bien. Mais lorsqu'il fait ses mises en échec avec le bout du bâton, donc ça sans doute devra améliorer son jeu du côté de la défensive. Et offensivement parlant, il est fort, bon patineur, travaille bien les points de patinoire. Mais sur le plan défensif, eh bien, beaucoup à apprendre, offensive et surprenante.
Kissio à Loisel. Loisel arrêté par Green. Il lui enlève la rondelle. Il reprend derrière à Greg Smith. À Loisel encore une fois. 35 secondes à la pénalité à Chris Nilan. Kissio évite le plaquage de Green. C'est Loisel qui passe à Rescousse, Loisel qui cherche un coéquipier par Loisel. Gare également est là, de même que Carbonneau. Et pendant ce temps, de précieuses secondes s'écoulent à la pénalité à Coast Island. Il n'en reste que 12. McCune à Tricio, une passe interceptée par Green. Green qui encore une fois ce soir, Gilles, a été un rock. La pénalité à Nyland est maintenant terminée. Je rappelle que les Nordiques ont remporté la victoire 2-0 contre les Bruins de Boston. Buffalo 1, Toronto 1, c'est en troisième. Le tir de McCune a touché Robinson. Et nous vous rappelons que les Canadiens mènent 9-1 avec 4 minutes 15 à faire en troisième. La soirée du hockey.
Ici, sur K2, la deuxième plus haute montagne du globe, le conduisant au sommet. On vous invite à être des nôtres pour vivre les moments intenses de cette aventure.
Un spectacle grandiose, une pièce à amitié du 29 novembre au 7 décembre dans la salle Pauline Boutal à 20h.
Faites partie de l'équipe.
Star number 1, outstanding in goal for the Calgary Flames early in the second period and throughout the third. Ray-Jean Lemelin, his 12th win of the year. She set up 3 of the 4 Flame goals and is the second star. And Pat Flatley, a goal and an assist for the New York Islanders, is star number 3. But the night belonged to Reggie Lemelin, who is the league leader in the NHL in victories for goaltenders, number 12 tonight, and it was a good one.
Thank you, Chris. It certainly was. You know, we just coming off from a real successful road trip, and you know, coming back home after playing so well, we just didn't want to miss on tonight. And of course, the Islanders played well last night. Winnipeg gave us a break, so picking up 2 points tonight's like getting 4 points.
I was going to say, both teams look like they're playing pretty well right now, and that must be gratifying when you beat a good team on a good night.
Oh, exactly. You know, for us, it's very important because we're sort of on a streak. You know, we lost only 2 games in the last 13, and we just want to keep it going. And we got Edmonton tomorrow night, and it's a big challenge for us.
You've shared the goaltending duties with a pretty good goaltender over the years, Don Edwards, so now you've got some young guys behind you. Does it put a little more responsibility on your shoulders, or do you prefer it?
Well, I just put that out of my mind. You know, I'm just trying to go out and play as good as I can every game, and last year I appeared in 54 games, so you know, if I got to play 55, or I mean 60 or 65, so what? So in another 10 games, it's a matter of concentration. You know, you just got to be ready every game.
We should tell you the Oilers are leading tonight over Hartford. Let's talk about that game tomorrow night, because I think if the Flames are going to make their move in the Smythe, you've got to play better than you did last year against the Oilers.
Well, exactly. You know, every year in regular season, we have big trouble against the Oilers, and you know, hopefully tomorrow night is the best time probably for us to show what we can do, because we're playing our best hockey right now. So we're coming in there tomorrow night and hoping to have a good game and build on it, you know.
Did you start the season with the belief that you could challenge the Oilers for first, or were you worried about being a strong second?
Well, after last year, you know, we definitely thought that Winnipeg would have a better start, and right now, you know, they haven't figured. We haven't figured that they would be the way they're going like right now, and for us anyway, we're just playing as good as we can, and right now we're close to the Oilers.
4 points back pending the outcome of tonight's game. Even better, you're 9 ahead of Vancouver, 11 up on Winnipeg, and I don't think you thought you'd be that far ahead this early.
Well, exactly. Just like I said, I thought there would be Winnipeg would perform better, and we thought Vancouver was going to improve, and they have. So definitely for us, you know, we're getting closer to the Oilers, and if we can start beating them, you know, when we meet them, then we'll get a lot closer.
Reggie, congratulations on a good game, a fine start to the season, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
Ray-Jean Lemelin, the first star of tonight's game. Now let's go upstairs and rejoin Don Whitman and John Davidson.
Thank you, Chris, and let's talk about that game tomorrow night a little. John Davidson, prior to the game, Bob Johnson was lamenting the fact that every time the Flames play the Edmonton Oilers, he said it seems we have to play the night before.
Well, Edmonton's playing tonight against Hartford, so there certainly won't be any excuses. I wonder if Bob Johnson's going to go with Mark D'Amour in goal up there. Last time they played and lost up there, D'Amour was a goaltender, and he played great for the Calgary Flames. Interesting, he's going to have to again get balance out of his lines up there if they want to play. Well, Edmonton, of course, are a two-line good-scoring hockey club. Messier's line and Gretzky's line tonight. 3 of the 4 lines scored goals. Quinn's line had 2, Otto's line had 1, and Riseborough's line had 1. So that balance is what he's going to need up there tomorrow night. The Edmonton Oilers, I'm not so sure about their defensive play lately. They're certainly giving up a bushel full of goals.
Let's talk about the defensive play of the Flames. It was encouraging yesterday that Paul Reinhart was back taking a full practice with this hockey club. There were some who speculated that he might even return to the lineup tonight, but he said he's still about a week away.
Well, he said actually this morning, I did talk to him after he practiced, and he said he hoped to play Wednesday when Hartford comes to town. But again, that's a coaching decision. The coaches are probably going to talk with Mike Eaves, who skates Paul Reinhart quite hard, and say, listen, does he have it? Is he able to go out there and play? Reinhart wants to go out there and play, take some hits, play a solid game, and see how it feels after.
And he wants to play a forward position.
Well, either position. He'll play either. He just wants to play to really settle in his own mind. Will it be a problem the rest of the year? Should I get it fixed now, or will I be able to play?
All right, let's now rejoin Chris Cuthbert.
Don, in other action tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing host to the Buffalo Sabres. Steve Thomas has scored for the Leafs, so it's Toronto leading 2-1 in the third. Now let's go to Toronto.
2 minutes for hooking.
Now, for you hockey fans who are happy out west with the result, Calgary defeating the New York Islanders, well, come aboard this one with us. We've got a pretty good game going. I'm Bob Cole, and with me here in the booth is Gary Dornhofer, where the Leafs lead 2-1. There was no scoring in the first period. Preacher and Perreault scored in the second, and Thomas here in the third. And at the moment, you're looking at Benning, and here's why he went off a hooking call.
Well, Anderson is blessed with tremendous breakaway speed. He gave us an example of that, and you saw the hook by Benning. So now an opportunity for the Sabres. They just haven't been able to generate any kind of an offense tonight. In fact, Toronto should be leading probably by 3 or 4, but excellent work by the goaltender Darren Pupa.
Housley passed the dandy in there, and Edwards, who's been sharp, especially here in this third period, made another big save. The Leafs have outshot Buffalo 24-14 up to this point in the hockey game. But the Leafs are leading 2-1, and the Sabres on this power play shoot again. Edwards very carefully hooked it off to the corner. Housley knocked it down and gives it to Perreault. Perreault back to Housley, and he missed it. The Sabres have to go all the way back. This is Steve Dykstra, number 4. And he handles the puck pretty well for the newcomer here, and here he comes. Up to the line to center. Played it into Andrechuk. Andrechuk gets set. He won't shoot it from there. Very quickly, he's hemmed in on the boards. It comes loose. The Leafs do not clear it. Dykstra shot. Edwards got a piece of that. Minute left in the penalty. Buffalo have the heat on. Andrechuk can't keep it in. Look out, Therrien is racing against Dykstra. Therrien and Dykstra fall. And will have a face-off in the Buffalo zone. Pretty good effort by Therrien. He nearly got away.
Well, he was questioning, and perhaps there should have been a penalty on the play, but good hustle. Watch Therrien now just get a hold of that one, and as it was tipped out over the blue line, it's a race between Therrien and Dykstra, and Dykstra makes a pretty good play. Well, it's always an interesting matchup when you do a little waltz, as One Island is doing on the play.
That's a waltz?
Molino, a tough guy to get out of there.
Montreal flying tonight. 10-1 against Detroit in the fourth. Still 2-1 here. Toronto leading. 45 seconds left in Jim Benning's penalty. Dow broke it up and nearly scooted away with that one. Sabres now trying to get back in it. That's Ruff circling with the puck. Puck comes to center, and Tucker is in after it. And he passed it to the Leaf player Fergus, and he shoots it back down the ice. Leafs tonight without Salming, Wendell Clark, Nick Adams, Rick Vye. Putting on a pretty good show. Defend injured last night, and a loss. Just 3 in a row, and the Maple Leafs have lost 2 straight. And this one is anybody's game. Jim Benning has 7 seconds left in his penalty. 2-1 Toronto.
Fergus has been excellent on the faceoffs tonight. He's been operating at more than 70%, and when you can get that kind of excellence from a faceoff position, especially in your own end, that's what Maloney is looking for. And as the game winds down, you can be sure that Fergus will be out on that ice to take just about every faceoff at his own end.
Orlando now for Buffalo on this important draw at the Leaf line against Therrien. Benning standing up, ready to come from the penalty box. Only 7 seconds left in his penalty. No scoring in the first. And in the second period, it was Freacher, and then Perreault tied it. Thomas, the go-ahead goal for the Leafs here at 2:57 of the third. Buffalo on the puck, and that's Orlando with Therrien all over him. Knocked down by Housley. He tries to bring it in. Benning is on the ice again, and Housley is flattened at the blue line by Big Nyland. He really hit the youngster. Leafs get it out. Here's Benning. Housley, though, staying on the ice, gave Benning a little bump. It continues. Orlando had a stick left it. Therrien is dumped. Buffalo again, finding the going tough against the checking Leafs. McKenna stopped inside the line by McGill. Out to Lehman. Lehman is alone as the Leafs were making changes. Springing Orlando loose. In for a shot. Edwards cutting the angle. He made up his mind to come out and challenge it early. And that turned out to be the right move. There goes Smith with Thomas. They barely were stopped. Smith now running into his man. Andrechuk with a shot, and that's off the 12:03 remaining in the third period.
Calgary Flames 4-3 over the Islanders. Hockey Night in Canada returns in just a moment.
Must be the Anne we've heard so much about.
Anne of Green Gables, the story that has touched the hearts of millions.
On your marks, get set.
She was spunky, precocious, irrepressible.
How dare you! My mind is made up. My red hair is a curse.
Certainly have a genius for trouble.
Megan follows Colleen Dewhurst, Richard Farnsworth in the world premiere of Anne of Green Gables on CBC television Sunday.
The New Face of Leprosy on the Nature of Things with David Suzuki. Wednesday at 8:30 in Newfoundland.
Thursday on The Way We Are. It was the oil boom, and they...
Without question, one of the most promising plays I've seen in 16 years of geology.
What could possibly go wrong? Next Year Country on The Way We Are. Thursday on CBC.
The Buffalo Sabres have tied the score in Toronto. It's now 2-2 thanks to rookie Gates Orlando. And beats Don Edwards with the slap shot. And it is now 2-2, so the Sabres trying to avoid losing their third in a row. It's Buffalo and Toronto. That action is heating up. 9 minutes remaining in the third period. So let's go to Maple Leaf Gardens.
Here's Stastny rolling it in. And a pass comes back in front, and Sear has to clear. Again, we welcome you people from Calgary who have been away just a little bit. Back for this game. Buffalo Sabres have tied it up, and it's 2-2 now with 8:05 left in the third period, and that is John Tucker going in. Tucker, a shot. He waited a little bit too long, and I'm afraid he blocked it, and it went into the crowd. I'm Bob Cole with 11:57 left in the third period. A scoreless first. Freacher and Perreault had goals in the second, and then Thomas gave the Leafs a lead of 2-1 early in the third period, and Orlando.
Scotty Bowman talking about his young coach. He wants to give him a chance to see what he can do. He also mentioned the lack of scoring. Sometimes when you're not scoring, you wonder if you're getting the scoring chances that are necessary to put the puck in the net. Well, the Sabres haven't had it until this third period.
Dykestra's shot is knocked down by Edwards. Iafrate on the boards with it, and Lehman couldn't make a play ahead to Courtnall. He was in behind Dykstra. So Iafrate has to hustle back again. Now Iafrate around the net, trying to set it up for Therrien off the glass, but he got that one high. So high, it went into the crowd.
And a souvenir. Of course, players are intelligent enough to realize when they're getting good scoring chances. If you're in a slump, the first thing you have to ask yourself, well, have I had the opportunity to score? If you haven't, then you have to certainly make a change in your game.
And Schoenfeld wants Hamel out for this draw. He's in there. That goes Therrien. Therrien wins it. Island back to the net for Toronto. Hamel watching him very closely. Island gives it to Therrien, back to him. The defenseman tries to go the other way. Orlando chased him. While the Sabres break it up near center. Hamel back in there and had it knocked off his stick. Now Portnoy loses it. Wyatt Brady tries to get loose. Played it on the boards. And didn't clear it. Therien at the blue line. Coming up with Lehman. Therien shoots one. Rattled off the glass and behind the Buffalo nets. Orlando for Buffalo. At the blue line and skating to center with Hamel on the move. That is Hamel shooting. Just missed. Another shot from this side by Housley missed. Leafs get a man up front and hit Therien skate. Benning now. Buffalo changing. A little bit of room for Benning. He shoots it in, being hit by Foligno as he did. 6:30 to play in the third period. And we're tied at 2. Buffalo dumping it out and down the ice. That was Ramsey. It rolls right to Edwards. Showing Katsopoulos the way to go for it. Now, it's into the crowd again. And they call the play.
Well, we had a very quick game here at the Saddledome tonight as the Calgary Flames hung on for a 4-3 win over the New York Islanders. The third straight win for the Calgary Flames. John Davidson, they twice had to come from behind in that York got off to that quick lead with the power play goal by Flatley.
It was a good goal by Flatley. Power play has been a serious problem for the Islanders all season long. Tonight they did get 2 goals, so that was a positive sign for the New York Islanders. You know, it's hard to understand how their power play wouldn't be better. Last year, that was the best in the National Hockey League overall. This year, right around 17%. It's really hard to figure out.
Well, Al Arbor made an interesting comment today about the pressure on 18, 19, and 20-year-olds coming into the National Hockey League. He said, we expect them to play without making mistakes. He said, I've got players on my team who are veterans, who are 30 years of age and are making the same mistakes.
Well, you play long enough, you're going to make those mistakes. I think he must be talking about people like Lau, who's going to be a star for the New York Islanders. He's a good hockey player. He's pressure, yes, there is put on those players, but the Islanders are a club where they don't necessarily have to rely on those young people. Heck, they've got Trottier there still, and they've got Potvin, and they've got Bossy, and they've got Billy Smith. So I think they're in a lucky and perhaps a unique situation where their youngsters aren't really, they don't have as much pressure as, say, Mario Lemieux had when he went to Pittsburgh.
Well, they still have many of the stars of their glory years when they put together those 4 straight Stanley Cups, and one of the stars of those Stanley Cup triumphs, John Tonelli, scored the second goal of the game for New York that put them into that 2-1 lead after Quinn had earlier tied it following the goal by Flatley.
Well, this is one of the few times during a hockey game where the Flames got caught running around in their own zone. They all flooded to one side of the ice, puck very well, and controlled it for the goal. Here, Lanny McDonald, after the Flames controlled the face-off, Eddie Beers knocked away his check. They got control of it. Lanny McDonald scored. Poplinski scores a goal, the next goal for the Calgary Flames. Watch the speed he shows. He's got it going pretty good. It's not a good goal as far as Kelly Rudy goes. That ends up being the winning goal for the Calgary Flames, but he got the job done. Doug Riseborough, a turnover at the blue line. He shot it quickly as Bozak got himself right in position and screened Rudy, and a real quick turnover there by the Flames. And then the goal to make it close. A great, great play by Pearson to keep it in. They moved the puck very quickly and a good rebound in front. And Brent Sutter got himself really into proper position. He just flipped open a rebound after Reggie Lemelin and made a good save. Brent Sutter and Dwayne Sutter had a lot of scoring chances tonight. Both of them played their position in front of the goal of Reggie Lemelin very well.
Well, Stefan Pearson's name will not show up on the statistics sheet for that third goal for New York, but he made the play with the diving stop at the blue line, getting it over to Boudelier, to Tonelli, and then, as you said, the Sutters a couple of times.
Played very well. In preseason, he didn't get a lot of game playing time as they looked at both Mike Vernon, or all three, Mike Vernon, Rich Costi, and Mark Demure. So Reggie Lemelin felt that, geez, you know, I like to play a lot of games. Maybe the coaching staff had a point. If he's going to play 55 or 60 games, why waste it in preseason? He's been getting stronger as the season's gone on. And again, it's something that any team will tell you, the defenseman especially, when you have confidence, that sure makes the game a lot easier.
Well, as an old goaltender yourself, well, not that old, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, as an ex-goaltender, John Davidson, what about the workload that Reggie Lemelin is going to be expected to carry for the Flames this year?
He plays a game that isn't overly flashy. He makes things look pretty easy in there. So when you do play that game, we talked a lot tonight about how he moved out, stood up, the puck hit him a lot. That does not waste a lot of energy, and he is smart enough to play that style of a game. I think if he played like, remember Mike Palmateer in the old days, or even Grant Fuhr now, all over the place, up and down, it's a very, it really expends a lot of your energy, and that person can get very tired. But Reggie Lemelin knows he's going to play a lot. It's already in his mind. He likes to play. He's got a great attitude towards the game. Nothing bothers him if it doesn't go well. And he's there. He's going to be there, and he's going to have a good year.
And as he's getting older, I guess it's safe to say he's also getting better.
He's getting older, but, you know, in his first number of years playing hockey, he didn't get a chance to start for a National Hockey League team. So this is not necessarily new to him, but it's something he really enjoys. He's got a good contract out of it over the last year. He loves it. He wants to keep it, and you can tell by the way he's been playing out there.
If he continues to play the way he has been tonight, he'll be getting an even better contract in the future. Right now, let's rejoin Chris Cuthbert.
Well, the Calgary Flames outshot the New York Islanders 29-28 tonight. Reggie Lemelin was the difference, though. He made some key saves in the second and third periods as the Flames beat the Islanders 4-3. Join us next Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada. Former Flyers Todd Bergen and Ed Hospodar will be in the Minnesota lineup. Neil Broughton is up. Edmonton Oilers captain Wayne Gretzky leads the entire NHL in points. It's the North Stars and the Oilers from Edmonton next Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada. Well, tonight's results in the province of Alberta set up what should be a very interesting game at the Northlands Coliseum tomorrow. Both Edmonton and Calgary winners tonight. Gentlemen, what kind of game do you expect at the Northlands Coliseum tomorrow night?
Well, I think that from what we have seen in the past, John Davidson, it might be a very physical hockey game.
I would certainly think so. We expected that the last time the two teams met up there, and Calgary did not come out of the gate very well at all. In fact, again, I have to mention Mark D'Amour was the only real bright light for the Flames in that hockey game. But I would think this game would be a lot more physical. The Flames are on a roll. Edmonton will rise and play well against the Calgary Flames. It's going to be interesting. I do know that, let's not kid ourselves, these franchises aren't exactly in love with each other. They both want to go up, beat each other up, and have a good hockey game.
Well, this is the rivalry of Alberta tonight. The Oilers defeated the Hartford Whalers, but Hartford's general manager was here in Calgary. Might there be another trade brewing involving Emil Francis and Cliff Fletcher?
Let's start a rumor. maybe Babic is coming back here in the Flames. Who knows? But geez, I noticed Babic was on the ice for quite a few goals for Hartford as Edmonton swamped them for quite a number tonight. But Emil Francis is always checking things out, and I'm sure he was here scouting too to see set up his team for their game next Wednesday.
Okay, let's go back to Chris Cuthbert.
Well, no rumors downstairs, just the facts that Mark Messier and Doug Risebrough provided the winning goals tonight in the province of Alberta. Here's the Messier goal, which gave the Oilers their margin of victory over the Hartford Whalers. Messier's first of two. He now has 15 on the year as he slides this one through some traffic in front of the Hartford net, and it finished 8-5. Here's the Doug Risebrough goal, which turned out to be the winner at the Olympic Saddle Dome. Risebrough in the slot, beating Kelly Rudy. And it finished 4-3 here at the Olympic Saddle Dome. Next week on Hockey Night in Canada, you'll watch the Minnesota North Stars and the Edmonton Oilers from the Northlands Coliseum. The final score here tonight, 4-3 Calgary. Good night from Hockey Night in Canada.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada. Brought to you by Molson, North America's oldest brewery with nearly 200 years of brewing excellence. Esso, with over 3,000 locations across Canada to serve you better. And by Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment, quality is job one.
Flips to the flops. The sports world was alive in 1980.